It's challenge day.
Welcome back, challengers. It's your man's Darwin Darko. I brought with me some dope beats for you to step to. Hopefully, you're doing your homework already and liking and subscribing. I say this all the time. You know what time it is. This is YouTube. This is the currency of the times. What can I say? We got 5 projects on the docket today. First up, we're going to talk about AYODROOP with Cinch, James Blake, amazing project, Trying Times, uh, Fivio Foreign, a little short one. It was a rap, hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It's called Still Standing, and it's doing some numbers. It's doing some good some work. We're gonna visit Ti's King year anniversary for that project. So looking forward to talking about that in a second. And then Slayyyter rounding up the rear here with Worst Girl in America. But as per usual, I have some honorable mentions. Um, well, I have 2 things that are honorable mention. You know, these things are tend to be like kind of like tangentially related to music, but mostly just entertainment, whatever. But this one is specifically music. So Kanye dropped a project Bully. I'm not reviewing it, but he did drop that project, and the conversation has been going around about um, separating the art from the artist type of thing. Um, and we all know Kanye has had so many different freaking controversies and so many stupid things to say past several years for a while now, right? From slavery is a choice all the way to calling Donald Trump his daddy. That happened at one point. Um, wearing the Klan robe. You know what I mean? I think he got an iced out swastika chain. So he was like running the gamut, insulting um, Jay Z and Beyonce's kids, calling them the R word and stuff. Well, he's insulting them by using it as a pejorative, calling them the R word. I don't know if they have any, if they're special needs or whatever. But besides, like, he's just been a gross human being for a while. And the conversation keeps happening about, okay, so we know what happened with at the BAFTAs where Michael B and Delroy were at getting the award, or they were presenting. I think they were presenting, and the guy with Tourette's was in the audience, and he yelled out the N word, right? And it's like, okay, we have to make space for people and their mental health. We want to be inclusive and stuff like that. But here's the conversation about the thing with Kanye, and how it's always coming up about, hey, people, don't forget this guy has a mental illness, this guy's bipolar and whatnot, right? uh I don't believe him. I'm going to go on the record and say that he may have some bipolarism. He may have it manifests in some form or fashion, but I think it is hella convenient when he gets to like trot this out as a an excuse for his behavior. And it does so it's, oh man, this is gonna be a freaking hot take right here. Not a hot take, but like, so when they talk about, for example, in the conversation about sexual assault, right? And um and then there's people out there that men and women that make false allegations. So what happens in those circumstances is like, okay, well, you're making it hot for everybody else who has like valid accusations, right? Um, because everybody's gonna be like, oh, this is just like them other fake ones, right? And so you're messing up the landscape for people who have legitimate claims for certain things. And so for people with mental health issues, Kanye is an example, I think, of like, okay, maybe he has some mental health issue. He does. It exhibits, I mean, pop psychologist that I'm being right now. But it's hella convenient the times that you choose to trot this thing out and wear it as a shield. And you're not doing a service, you're doing a disservice to the people who actually had this thing, who are suffering with these sorts of conditions, um, and making and like polluting the landscape for them. Here's why I don't believe him. Here's why I don't believe the extent to which he is crippled or compromised by this condition. I looked up how long does it take to make or get to produce a custom boxing robe, like to go to a boxing match, right? You know, you see the boxers, you know, and they get a robe. It's got their name on it, got logos and stuff like that. It's specific colors. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the trim might be black and the rest might be red or whatever, right? And it's custom. How long does it take to make one of these things? There's a couple of steps to this, and this is why I'm starting to. I'm like, wait a minute. There's some logistics here. I'm a logistics brain person. First of all, there's the design phase. What's the style? What's the material? What's the you got to take measurements. Take his specific measurements. He made a whole freaking clan robe, yo. So you got to take his measurements for it to fit right. He's a fashion guy. He's going to want it to fit a particular way. There may be even samples that are given. These samples get sent like, hey, what do you think about this one? What do you think about this color combination? Here's the sample. We mocked it up, right? Try it on. What can we adjust? Do you want a zipper? Do you want buttons? What do you say? Do you want it to be? Do you want there to be you can put a belt, or maybe it's just like you could cinch it, whatever, right? Then there's the actual production of the thing. You source the materials, you know what I mean, and whether you wanted some specific materials for it to be breathable, not stretchy, kind of whatever. Maybe you have a specific designer that you're working with. Okay, fine. Production takes time. And then it takes time to ship it to you, to mail it to you, and all that, and to get it to you. And then you try it on. Oh, maybe there's an adjustment that needs to be made, or here and there, and then like, okay, all of that, at best, for somebody at Kanye's level doing this thing like custom, to get good quality work, stitch work, at best 2 months. 2 months. So you mean to tell me you had an episode where you had an idea, a mental episode, right? Where you had an idea like, I want to wear a clan robe, or I want to get a freaking swastika chain in January. You had this idea in January. You go through from January all the way to March, April, the chain, February, March, 2-3 months. The thing gets produced. There's no time in between. You wake up out of that stupor. You're like, I did what? I ordered what? Nah, I wasn't well mentally. Cancel that. There's no time between January and February. You didn't have a day, 1 day of where you were lucid. No? Okay. So there are people out there producing. They're doing, hey, you ordered it. Are we just gonna do what he ordered? I'm a business. I gotta get paid. The thing comes, it ships to you. It gets to your house. Days go by. Maybe you're back again in your stupor. Maybe you're back again in your mindset. Or you're having another episode. You're struggling. You're off your medication or whatever. There's like a 3-week window there. The thing gets shipped to your house. This box is here in your house. And you open it up and it's a clan robe. It's a black clan robe, or it's a swastika chain. So then you open it up and you having like, no, oh snap. And it's sitting in your house for like a week. Oh no, I wasn't in the right mindset. What the heck is this? I did that? I ordered this? And you don't just tear it up, you don't burn it, you don't trash it, you don't call them, yo, my bad, man. I was in a bad state of mind, and I shouldn't have ordered that. Can I get a refund? You know what? Fuck the refund. You did the work. Don't worry about it. I'll trash it. No, what you did is you kept it.
How, Sway?
Even in your lucid state. Because you're not in a freaking a bipolar state. I have experience with people that have, that are bipolar. So, it ain't 100% like that all the time, bruh. It ain't 100% all the time like that when you're constantly in this like other universe. It's not like that. You come out of that, and you should be like, yo, this is crazy. Okay, so you designed it, you got it shipped to your house, to your crib, you tried it on there, and you kept it. And then you made you scheduled an interview with podcasters, with other shows or whatever, whatnot, right? And those things are scheduled like weeks in advance, okay, months in advance usually. But you're Kanye, you have pull like that. They could get you in next week. They could get you in within 2 weeks. You schedule that interview, which is out in March, in April. This idea that you had over some wild idea you had back in January, all these steps that I just walked through, you went through, you still have this thing in your house, and then you go sign up for the interview and you wear it the day of. The day of, even the day before, when you're like picking out your outfit, what am I going to wear to this interview? You're not lucid that day? Will you lay your clothes out before you go, like first day of school for kids? You're not lucid that day either. You follow through on that day, and then the day comes, you wear it. You wear it. And you stand on 10 toes on it. I'm proud on it. Right? Like, and now you want to come around and talk about I was misdiagnosed with CTE. First of all, you can't get diagnosed with CTE until you die. I mean, this is this other kind of weird method, but like, you can't diagnose yourself with CTE. I know that for sure. There's some traumatic effect, maybe, for sure, PTSD from your car accident and whatnot. But when you was making those beats, when you were signing those deals with Adidas, you was perfectly lucid, perfectly fine. How are those contracts legal if they were made with a person that was not mentally sound? Contracts aren't legal like that. Ask an attorney. So you must have been mentally sound, but somewhere in between there, you lost your mind, and then you found your mind, and you lost your mind again when it's convenient. That's why I don't believe Kanye. It's convenience. It's completely out of convenience when he chooses to lean on this particular disability, and it's doing a disservice to people who are suffering day to day with this thing. And they don't have the finances and the money and the resources to fall back on, like Kanye, to just play around with this thing. Do not take Kanye West seriously with his mental health. Fuck him. He's racist. He's anti-Semitic. He's a self-hating black person. And he made a bed, and there's no forgiveness for this guy. There's no forgiveness for this. And he is not doing the work for forgiveness. Maybe there's forgiveness. Y'all are better than me. Y'all more forgiving than me. You know what I mean? I'm the tainted one. I need to do work on myself. Cool. But he's not doing the work. First of all, the apology to black people was completely lackluster. And he still has done it. He did all that other shit publicly. We need him to do publicly to go through the ringer. Publicly. He got canceled from the concert he was supposed to do in Europe. He ain't even say nothing about it. Bro, you supposed to come out and be like, because the letter he put out, the freaking lawyered letter he put out was all talking about, I'm working on these things. I was in a bad place, and I apologize to everybody, whatnot. When the people in Europe canceled his concert, he should have came out and said, you know what? They're right. I am willing to suffer the consequence because I did that. I did those things, and I can understand. And if I'm actually remorseful, I understand that they canceled my concert because of that. I understand. Say something. Show the work. Show your freaking homework. You go and do a show. I think it was SoFi or somewhere or another, whatever. He did a show, and then the whole stage, great. Hey, big productions. He does big productions and stuff. That's, the artistry is there, undeniable. He's an artist. He's standing on top of the world. He's standing on top of the globe. Like, bro, read the room. That ain't you. That ain't you right now. You should be, hiding under a rock somewhere. You're lucky to be outside. And you standing on top of the world, standing on top of the globe. Like, this ain't the time for it. You're supposed to be humble right now. Show your work. So no, he conveniently apologized and everything when he had the album coming out, the Bully album coming out, and so and because he wants people to listen to it, he wants the streams, and that's all that was. That's all that was. Give it 6 months, give it 3 months, and we'll see the true Kanye. We'll see the true Kanye. The dude, he's playing us and he's playing his fans, and I was a college dropout. Late registration? You kidding me? Like, the level of fandom. I saw him one of his early shows in Gainesville, Florida. 2005, 2006, something like that. Huge fan. I'm a Jay Dilla fan, and he, you know what I mean. He's a student of Jay Dilla, so like for sure, I was feeling his style. Little Brother, he was on Little Brother's album, my favorite rap duo, and they collaborated with him. So yeah, I was a Kanye fan. I was a Kanye fan. His old music is undeniable, still classics and stuff, but like him as a human being, like nah, like he's trash. He's a trash human being. And all these excuses about the mental health makes me think less of him because he's using it as an excuse conveniently. He's overplaying it, and it's poisoning the landscape for people who are truly suffering day to day with these conditions. Moving right along, NASA went to the moon again. Hard pivot because I need to woo-saw that shit, right? They went to the moon again. Well, they didn't technically go to the moon. They went and flew around the moon. But because the orbit that they looped around the moon, the route that they took, they actually ended up breaking the record, being the farthest manned mission away from Earth in history. And so, shout out to NASA doing that. They deserve a major shout out today because their latest trip around the moon was nothing short of historic. This is the Artemis 2 crew we're talking about. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina is it Koch, I think it is, and Jeremy Hansen. They completed this first crewed lunar flyby in more than 50 years. So on top of that, they didn't even land on the moon. Well, this time. Now, somebody don't. I hope nobody. We landed on the moon. I believe we landed on the moon that first time, but I'm just talking about this time. We didn't even land on the moon. We flew by, and they did. But the next mission is supposed to actually go land on the moon. We're going to the dark side of the moon, man. That one was those. So the pictures that came out of this thing. Of course, that's my screensavers now. You know, everybody's got their not the screensaver, but like the background of the computer is all these stunning pictures. You got like the Earth rise, the Earth set. You seeing like even there was this 54-minute total solar eclipse that they captured from deep space. Some amazing shots that came out of that thing, and they all landed safely, splashed down. Went well. I feel like they did a lot in the splashdown. They were doing the most. Like I feel like everybody wanted to. I was watching it live, and you could go on YouTube and you could rewatch the whole thing from the launch and a bunch of videos. It's such a great a promotion for science and what NASA does that they finally got hip to the game. They're like, show the stuff, show all the stuff. We got the camera, we got the technology. Let's do it. Show all the stuff. So they, we're seeing. You could see them. You could have like live stream and watch the astronauts work day to day while they were up there. But even then, like you said, you watch the live stream of the launch, the takeoff and everything. You see the boosters, separating and everything like that. Then you see all the way to the end with the splashdown. And then like the crew, the Navy went to go rescue them and out of the capsule and everything. It's like everybody wanted to be involved in it and get some like hours, some like rescue hours or something like that. I feel like they overdid a bunch, but they even like I think they like airlifted. They freaking tugged they was doing too much. They were doing too much, but I feel like they just wanted everybody involved so that they could all get part of that budget. But shout out to NASA. That was dope to see. Very encouraging to know that we're still reaching for the stars. We'll see what all the lessons we learned. The astronauts are still going through like medical evaluations and things like that, and some of the systems that were up there that we used up there, like the food preparation, the sanitation systems and stuff. Seeing how all those things held up during that trip. So looking forward to hearing the results of that data. But what is it? To infinity and beyond. Today we're talking about AYODROOP, a Seattle-based artist who's been putting in work for a while now without making a huge scene about it. Singles, EPs, Lucy's, a steady output. And Cinch feels like the moment where all of that starts to click into place. It dropped back in January. We're talking 12 tracks, 29 minutes. Not much wasted space on this thing. No fillers, no random guest spots. No songs hanging around longer than they need to. It follows his 2025, yeah, his 2025 project, Acrasia and Let's Cry Blood. And if you have been keeping up, you already know what he does well. Melody first songs, emotional detail, a style that never feels like it's chasing trends. For a lot of people, the recent On the Radar freestyle, which you should check out on YouTube, is probably your introduction to AYODROOP. Um, and so, fair enough. That's cool. It still feels though like this is the a great entry point because you listen to his work and it seems so well done, and he's a producer as well, that like you would think this is somebody who has like the backing of some like majors or something like that, and who's been like a veteran in the game. But like really, no, he's still early in the game. So like you getting on board now, you're on the ground floor. So this is a time to buy on Aeodroop. But this is that's where you came in, just seeing him on the radar freestyle. That's a good starting spot because now you get to see with this album dropping right now, you get to see the full picture, right? Which is why I love promoting albums because you get to see the full concept of what he's trying to put on, what he's got going on. Again, he produced most of this thing himself. His full name, by the way, is Ayodeji King T Kankushi, right? And he has been handling pretty much everything on here: writing, composing, production. The sound lands somewhere between R&B warmth and hip hop instincts. It reminds me a little bit of the early internet albums, right? With Sid, the internet, right? But it's a little bit more. That one was a little bit the internet. They're a little bit more close to neo soul ish. This one is neo soul, but a little bit closer to uh, like a little bit more upbeat, so a little bit more pop, a little bit more poppy, intertwined in this thing. The sound lands somewhere between R&B warmth and hip hop instincts and some pop, right? But he keeps enough of the melodic curveballs in there to stop the album from blending and all together into just like one unrecognizable thing. For tracks that you can check out to kind of like wet your palate a little bit. Lights Off is your opener on here. This is probably the biggest entry point for most people. It's sparse, it's moody, instantly, locked in. It sets the tone right away. Let that shit sink in. So this is the lyrics that he starts there, right? I watched all my flaws hit me right up inside my chin. Shit, I mean under, never been under, no means. For what it's worth, I took what every person said beneath, made that shit deep with the lights off. I work under pressure with the lights off. I'd rather be inside in my corner, talking right to myself. Only person that listens because I can't really find help. Strum is another dope one that's a little bit later on in the thing, featuring Vesta. This one is guitar heavy. It's loose. One of the better collaborations on the record. It feels like an actual conversation, not just somebody dropping in for a verse. Dodging bullets. This one is fast. It's sharp. Gone before it even wears itself out. One thing I'll say is that the tracks are pretty short on here, but because it's such a cohesive and coherent, it's there's not a bunch of what do you call what do you call those segues, or I forgot the full term, is seamless segues or continuous segue happening, but the thematic vibe of the project is so consistent and so well done. Shout out to him for having an overall concept in his mind and executing it the way he did. That I saw that say it's okay. It feels okay. I usually like my tracks to be at least minimum 3 minutes and venturing into the 4 minutes kind of thing. Let a song evolve, let a song unfold kind of thing. But he did the work enough to make it coherent enough and to be complete enough where the songs still feel full. Songs still feel full. So dodging bullets is only 2 minutes and 14 seconds. It still feels full. It still feels like it did what it had to do for its part in the whole, right? So shout out to him on that one. Met Me. This is just an interlude, for example, and that one um, is it comes up right after the title track, the opener, and that's only a minute and a half. Right? It's probably this a sleeper pick because it's just this acoustic, personal moment in the project, more rhythmic than the title suggests. His writing feels especially sharp here. The best thing about the whole project, um, I would say, like he knows when to move on. Nothing drags. Nothing stays a little too long for. It's like okay, this song is just getting repetitive. He's nothing. He's not doing anything special here. So let's wrap it up. No, you don't. You never get to. You never get that because he's in tune with it, right? So every track gets it. Every track that he puts together is it feels curated. And gets in and gets out of each track with great timing. Cinch, by the way, is the you have a saddle on a horse and the strap that kind of like cinches it all to the horse. That's what cinch is. And he talks about how you know him pulling this whole project together and holding it together like that and kind of like holding himself together, right, with such an endeavor kind of thing, and then also leaning on people in your life that helps you stay grounded. So I love that metaphor for that. He's got a wild looking the album cover is quite entertaining. It's giving for me. I don't know nobody else sees this, but like I'm seeing chromacopia. I'm seeing inspiration from like Tyler the Creator and the aesthetics here. Completely different character, but it is a character. He's playing a character, and he's in the on the radar performance. He's in this character, Redface, right? He's got music videos where he's in the red face with the white gloves, right? It's not quite. It feels like a there must be some historical character that I can't remember that like dressed like this, but it's not quite minstrel show. Shout out to little brother. I talked about them earlier. But there's something happening here, and I with the red face that he's got going on there, and he even like refers to. I think some of the like the ad libs might refer to red face. Just says red face. But he's got the white gloves, and he's doing like it looks kind of cartoonish the way he like portrays this character. And I wish I haven't found anything in his interviews so where he describes this. I should have done maybe some more digging. He describes exactly what his idea is behind this character that he's playing. Um, but the white gloves is giving minstrel show. The white gloves is giving minstrel show. So I don't know. There's something going on, and it's very elaborate in the performance of this character, just the same way like Tyler was with Chromacopia. So I wish I would. I'm gonna end up. I'm gonna look into it later myself. I hope you look into it. If you find out, let me know in the comments. This is your chance to like and subscribe. And have a conversation here. You got any recommendations on other albums I should review, things like that? Let me know. But Cinch is a dope one you should dive into, and and let me know if you find out anything about what's going on with the character he's performing here. But the project is warm when it needs to be, without being sleepy. It's confident without trying to prove anything. He is leaning into his art, right? And overall, it moves quickly. So it's a quick listen, but it leaves something behind, and you need to have multiple. I think it's one of the ones that you need multiple listens on this thing. A lot of the album sits in that space between who you were, who you are becoming. And, we're talking about relationships, momentum, self doubt, trying to stay grounded while still keeping it moving, right? Keeping your evolution, keep progressing. There's familiar territory here, like I mentioned before. It sounded a little bit like the internet here and there. I'm getting some Tyler the Creator vibes on some of the tracks and even the aesthetics of it. Also, there's familiar territory here, but he and also some of his earlier work. But he approaches this one in a way that it feels new. It feels like new ground. It feels fresh. So shout out to him for that. It works as you can put this thing on as a background track if you want to. I think a good listen would be maybe on a Sunday afternoon when you are maybe folding some laundry, getting ready for the week ahead. Maybe you make yourself a hot toddy. You're you it's again, you should listen to it, locked in, but it's also good for the background space where you're just trying to like reset and trying to sit in a gentle vibe to prepare you for what's next to drop. Bottom line, AYODROOP is building something real here in his artistry. This is a great addition to his catalog. Cinch feels like it's his most complete, probably his most complete body of work yet. It's the kind of album that settles in deeper the more time you spend with it. And it's not a long listen, so run it back. James Blake has spent most of his career existing slightly outside the system, but Trying Times feels like the first moment he has fully stepped away from it. This is the first album released entirely on his own label, Good Boy Records. With no major label infrastructure behind him, no Republic Records machine, no traditional campaign strategy, no sense that anyone else had a hand on the wheel, really. Blake has called it his favorite album he's ever made. And that matters because he's not an artist who throws statements around like that lightly. There's a confidence here that feels earned. Not louder, just clearer. The rollout matched that energy. No giant teaser campaigns. There wasn't this algorithm friendly countdown or anything crazy. Instead, he just built this password protected website, and people signed up and uh, to pre-save the album, and there you go. Here's the project. He has actually been talking about a lot about how the whole streaming and how that's eaten away at artists' ability to like make a living and like live a life, and like it's just like corrupted the entire game. But he's still out here doing the work. Um, and if you were part of um, that drop, then there was actually a track that he like an early release of Death of Love, featuring Dave on there. It's a little bit mysterious. That's very James Blake, and it fits with what he's been saying publicly, say for years in regards to these whole streaming services and the economics around artist ownership of their craft and their work. Trying Times is him putting those beliefs into practice. More than anything, it sounds like an artist reclaiming his time. The biggest difference in Trying Times isn't the sound, it's the feeling behind it. Blake has always loved minimalism, but here the empty spaces feel intentional. Their earlier works can feel stark, maybe even jarring if you're not, you know, familiar with his genre or his style, or maybe you're not expansive in your music palette. Um, Silence matters for James Blake. That's part of the tapestry. Sometimes some songs can stretch out because there's a feeling that he needs you to tap into like 10 seconds later. There's a way that it lands, right? So it's very specific, it's very intentional. But I can understand somebody who's like, if you're just a casual, you want something that just moves you, kind of thing like that. James Blake can be a little bit hard to get into. But if you give it if you give it your attention just for a little bit, at least one listen, like I always said, you'll come away from this project feeling a little bit more whole, a little bit more inspired, a little bit more um, um, like cultured. I dare to say cultured, right? I hate to give the British people the credit for anything saying something cultured because you don't want to like you don't want to dive too much into the pretentiousness, but the production breathes, and that makes the emotional moments land harder. Thematically, the album circles exhaustion, overstimulation, and the pressure of staying emotionally present in a world that constantly asks for more. And then there's the spinning plates cover. You check out the cover on here, and it's James Blake. He's got these plates on these little skinny sticks, and it's the it's a saying, you know what I mean, of how like, oh man, I got a lot of plates spinning right now. Somebody that's stressed out, they got a lot going on, they got a lot that's happening simultaneously, right? Blake has he's never had an album cover that was like, I don't think any of his album covers were like that precise to actually what the music is about. It's a perfect match. The artwork is by a guy named Robbie Lawrence. So he's surrounded by these plates on these sticks. He's leaning forward, hands raised. And if any one of them could topple, everything comes crashing down, sort of thing, right? Across interviews, Blake has framed this as a metaphor for his overwhelming personal, professional, and creative load that he's had to carry. Just, again, producing as well as being a vocalist, as well as being as going independent. It was a tough road for him to make this project over the past 2.5 years, right? Check out Death of Love on this project. This is going to be the second one on this thing. This is the centerpiece of this thing, right? The London Welsh male voice choir gives the song a huge, almost spiritual scale, with Blake's voice staying fragile and close, right? It's a song about collapse and what survives after the collapse. One of those, the strongest tracks that he's produced in years. Like, hopefully this one can hit the mainstream, at least for other people can just like get tapped into what he's got going on. Although James, James Blake is pretty popular. I had a dream. She took my hand. This is one of the gentle moments on the record. The song drifts. It floats away from predictability, and that softness becomes its strength. It feels like Blake finally letting himself sit inside a single moment. Didn't come to argue, featuring Monica Martin. Where is this one on the project? This is the sixth track on the project. It comes across almost like a traditional ballad. Monica Martin doesn't just appear on this thing; she reshapes the track. Her voice adds tension. It comes a little bit more pronounced later on in the track, turning the song into something less like a duet and more like two people circling the same emotional drain, but from like different angles. Doesn't just happen. I love this one. This one featuring Dave, UK hip hop artist Dave. He brings this narrative sharpness that cuts through Blake's atmospheric beautifully. Blake never overcrowds a track. He gives Dave space to be specific, and the result is one of the album's standout collaborations. Maybe you stopped putting in time somewhere along the line, and everything good doesn't just happen. Doesn't just happen. Falling in love doesn't just happen. Staying in love doesn't just happen. Repeating that again, then reaching above doesn't just happen. Staying in love doesn't just happen. Uh, that message there, like, you're preaching to the choir, bro. Like, like relationships, it's a participation sport, and you know it when you win one, right? You when you're in one of those relationships with like your partner is just mailing it in. Once you realize that, they may not realize you realize that. It's about time you check in. That's when you know. You know what? I need to check in because this is a participation sport and somebody is just going. What is it? What is it going? Not the. What's that term is? Not going with the flow. They're going with like autopilot. Autopilot. Recognize your partner is on autopilot. Recognize maybe you might fall into autopilot. Step out of that. It doesn't just happen. Having you see your, oh, my aunt and uncle have been together for 50 years, or my parents were together for 30 years, kind of thing. That doesn't just happen. That takes work. That takes ups. It takes downs. It takes effort. It takes going through the trials of fire. Staying in love, like it says here, doesn't just happen. Everything good doesn't just happen. You have to work at it. Even in your own life, outside of relationship, your career, other opportunities in the world for you to like turn your hobbies maybe into paid endeavors, things like those things don't just happen. You have to put yourself out there. You have to, like, it's a participation sport. So love that message. Dope track. Check that one out. Trying Times is an album about modern pressure, but it never feels suffocating. It's intimate without being delicate, electronic without losing warmth. Because there is some moments that you can maybe dance to in here. Even in its heaviest moments, there's air enough um, to breathe through and move through the songs. More than anything, Blake sounds free. There's energy here that feels less like It feels less like reinvention and more like release. It's like remembering why he started making music in the first place. It's pretty much a common theme when you talk about independent artists. With the first, especially when they first become independent, they're like, "Yo, this is what I wanted to do all along. This is what I did from the start." And and being able to tap back into that, you get some great music you get some great stuff from this. Especially if it's an artist that's been around for a while and you were an early fan and he kind of like fell off, and like, "Oh yeah, this is what I was missing," because they're able to tap back into that. So this project is one of those. If you're looking for one of those, this is one of those. This is great for like maybe a late night listen. Maybe if you're in a like a transit space, like you're catching the metro late night. There's not a bunch of people around. It's not a big crowd. You get to like sit by the window, and just watch the city fly by on your way home. Maybe you're in an Uber. Throw your headphones in. You don't have to have that conversation with the Uber driver. You don't have to be their entertainment for that ride. Throw it on and just like look out the window, but like don't just like drift away, but like really look into your city. Just like look around, because when you're a driver, you're focused on the car ahead. You miss a lot of the landscape. So this is a chance to really like connect. I feel you're surrounded by movement, but yet you're still kind of locked into this like calm space that James Blake constantly creates in his projects. There's no urgency. You're being either the metro is taking you where you gotta be, or the Uber or Lyft is taking you where you gotta be. This moment belongs to you, and drift away. That's when this album really opens up. I feel James Blake isn't just releasing another album here. He's making a case for independence, for patience, for trusting listeners to meet the music halfway. Trying Times doesn't chase immediacy, it chases depth. And that's exactly the way that it stays with you. Fivio Foreign pulled a classic Fivio move, a surprise drop. No rollout on this one, no campaign. Like nobody knew this was happening, but he just dropped this mixtape, and it's called Still Standing. It hit streaming on March 27th. Just a few teaser clips I think he put out on YouTube, and fans immediately in the comments trying to decode every bar. At this point, his resume is solid. I haven't really been checking for 5 year like that, but I know his resume is solid. His fans are like really locked in with him. Platinum records. He did records with Drake, Pop Smoke, even Kanye, right, and Lil TJ. Um, he had a top 10 debut with Bible back in 2022. He's been one of the defining voices of Brooklyn drill music for years. I haven't been a huge drill fan, but there's some joints. There's some joints, I'll admit. But Still Standing isn't about reinvention. It's about sharpening the blade. I That first track, man, I was not expecting that. But there's harder beats happening on this whole thing, tighter writing, themes rooted in survival, pressure, and proving you're still here when a lot of people expected you not to be. And the streams already climbing, fans are locked in. 9 tracks, 22 minutes. This is quick. It's focused. It's a mixtape, so I can forgive the shortness, but it's straight to the point. But you're gonna need some side dishes to make this a full plate. It's pretty. It's man. Whatever happened to the third verse? Whatever happened to the third verse? It's on. There's a podcast I think now called the third verse. I can't remember who's on there, but man, because of this whole streaming thing, they figured how like shorter songs get more plays, they get more spins. Uh, and on top of the fact that they get more spins, um, what I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg on this one, because like people's attention spans are are shorter. So we don't want to let a track breathe. We don't want to sit around and let a track develop and open up. We want to start with the hook. Some of these songs are starting with the hook. Start with the hook, give you a verse, hit you with the hook again, maybe a bridge, and then like close out with the hook again, and that's it. Like you got one verse, you got 16 bars, and that's it. I don't know. I think we need to. These days it's like the third verse is more of a luxury than a necessity, and The algorithm has figured it out. The record labels have figured it out, and these artists are just complying. No pushback. They're just complying. Um, whatever. I would love to see the third verse come back, but that's just me. But regardless of that, drill music isn't necessarily one that you would think to have much depth to it. But there's a lot of stuff to explore here that if some of these tracks have more time, that I feel like Fivio could get into. Regardless, it's still some good beat selection, some great. He's saying some stuff. He's saying some real stuff on here. The drill but yet the drill foundation is still apparent. You're talking these sliding 808s, fast hi hats, heavy bass. But this time there's more atmosphere, pads, vocal layers, little background details that make the project feel bigger, almost cinematic. I'm thinking of this track "Caution" that has like strings in the background and things like that, right? The features help widen the sound. Polo G, Trey Songz, Lil TJ, more melody, more emotion, but without softening the edges. And the sequencing deserves credit. It starts in full fight mode, opens to a more to a more like reflective space as you listen. Particularly when you listen to starting off with tracks "Pain in My Eyes," right, running all the way to "Mad Bags." So that's a good one, two, three, four, five tracks of like a more introspective, a more existential kind of like a message that's going on in those tracks. Good run, but definitely 4 tracks worth your time to. I mean, it's 20 minutes. The whole thing is 20 minutes, so it shouldn't be hard for you to listen to this whole project. But if you just want to dabble real quick, check out "Still Standing." Of course, the first opening track. This is a chest out opener. This is siren like production. Fabio sounds locked in from the jump on this one. "Caution" is the second one. Polo on this track. It's fast, sharp, it's tense, sexy, sexy. I'm not a fan of Tory Lanez as a human being, but this song is a bop. This song is a bop, yo. It's the most playlist ready track. I could definitely see this one being played like in the clubs and stuff like that, and being on somebody's playlist. It's light, it's catchy, it's built for late night and car speakers probably, right? If the song itself feels sexy, right? What else we got here? Pain in My Eyes. Yeah, Pain in My Eyes. Let's go back to. So Pain in My Eyes is a little bit slower. It's a little bit heavier. It's personal. It's a moment where the weight sort of lands on that one. Where everything else may. But that's the first, like I said, that run there from Pain in My Eyes to Black Boy Max, Sexy, and then Mad Bags. It's a little bit more down tempo. Still drill beat. Still drill beats in the background, but still standing feels like a victory lap for your boy Fabio. Not in a flashy kind, more like he's keeping his head down, doing the work, moving with purpose, providing that yeah, he stays on this side, stay on the sidewalk. Let's say it this way, Fabio, get your ass out of those streets and on the sidewalk with me. You know what I mean? And talk about the stuff. You don't have to like live the life. I know he's on the whole campaign trying to fight against the whole. I forgot who was it. Was it 21? No, it wasn't 20. Was it 21? Or Young Thug? It might have been. It's either one of those two. And I was talking about fuck the streets, right? And so 5 years on the campaign is like, yo, I am the streets. I represent the streets, and like it's sort of like you saying fuck me. And so he's on this campaign to like flip that, and he's calling it save the streets instead of saying fuck the streets, save the streets. And so okay, save the street, but like your message is a little bit muddled because it seems like I don't know. You just need some. You just need to go. Workshop that a little bit, Fabio. Get your ass on the sidewalk. Get out the streets. Stop all the endorsement and like trying to live that street life because it can get people. It could get you still hemmed up. You got a budding career here, so I hate to see you end up going down the route of a Pooh Shiesty or something like that, right? But overall, the album is easy to listen to. It's fast, it's gritty, it's built for motion. The best listening scenario, I would say, like, maybe you're on a city bike. Get on a city bike and you're just like, you got you got your headphones on, but like you have the make sure you have the ambient aware so you can hear cars and stuff like that, and like other city sounds that kind of blend into it that help you, especially like if you're someplace like New York, they kind of help you like really get into the atmosphere that he's creating, this gritty atmosphere that he's creating. You're weaving in and out of traffic, you're weaving in and out of people, and let this be like your sort of your motivation to build momentum, to build some forward momentum. Bottom line, Fivio on here is doing exactly what the title says. He's still standing. Even the imagery, on the project is gorgeous because he's just showing his legs and he's like standing on the sign of the album title on there, and it's just showing like I'm still standing even though regardless of what I've been through, still pushing. He's still pushing the genre. He's moving the genre forward. And 9 tracks is a quick listen. It's a mixtape, you know what I mean? But there's no time wasted on this thing. It's solid listen, and it doesn't take up too much of your time. Give it a spin. Like and subscribe if you found this album through the show here, and maybe I'll swim my way up your timeline when other stuff drop. We're going back to March 2006, bruh. T.I. dropped King. And just like that, Atlanta isn't part of the rap conversation. It becomes the center of it. And honestly, there may not be a better time to revisit it. King. Perfect moment. Because in 2026, T.I. is having a real comeback. He announced his final album, King, Killed the King, around the Grammys. A full closing of the King of the South era. He cuts his dreads, brings back the low fade, links with Pharrell for Let 'Em Know. Check out that video on YouTube there. And suddenly he's charting higher than he's has in years. He's doing comedy, acting, podcasting, Expeditious, I think is the name of the show. Great stuff, great production on there. The camera work is phenomenal. All that. But all roads lead back to King. That's the album where he stopped being another hot Atlanta rapper and became a full-blown star. That same week, he dropped that the movie ATL. Y'all remember that? Shout out to damn, what was the what was the skating rink? Was it Cascades? I think Cascades. The skating rink that was featured on there. Shout out to JID. When they talk about Cascade and that skate track with JID's latest project. But man, that same week he dropped the 500,000 copies of King that first week, and we're talking big numbers, man, behind it. Like revisiting this project right now isn't just nostalgia; it's going back to examine the blueprint of what became this legacy act that we have now. And T.I. is still probably on what we call a victory lap even right now. And it all started in 2006. And the first track on that thing is King Back. First, the King Back. It was his rival, but King Back, right? It's the first track on it. The audacity. It's like he knew something that was about to, before the rest of us even knew. But we listened to it, and when we listened to this is one of these projects you heard it the first time, and you're like, yes, it's an instant classic. There is such a thing as figuring out if an album is an instant classic. Now, mind you, some albums, it takes a bunch of listens. It takes some years to be like, oh, is this a classic or not? But there are some that we gotta say, if we're being honest, that we heard it the first time, we're like, yo, this is a classic. It's gonna be a classic. We're gonna revisit it 30 years from now. And this is one of these barometers, and that's why I'm reviewing it, right? It was that dope. King is one of those projects that where you hear somebody becoming themselves in real time. The production is huge. Big trap drums, strings, horns, dramatic intros. It feels expensive. And so this is somebody who is betting on themselves at this point. It feels expensive without being overproduced. Southern rap built for the biggest stages possible. T.I. sounds completely sure of himself, no hesitation, No overthinking. If you call yourself the king, you better act like one. And that's what he's doing on this project. Every verse feels like someone who already knows he's the next up. He's the next coming, right? The next phase of where hip hop is gonna go. And then actually ATL ended up becoming the mecca of hip hop for a good chunk of time there, right? The sequencing of the tracks matter. Of course, that's the beauty of listening to a full project. I want y'all to listen to the whole album, top to bottom. And it matters. It matters on this one because this isn't one of the ones that you can shuffle because it plays like a movie. It feels like there's an opening scene, there's pressure, setbacks, celebration, reflection, and it all flows, right? Four tracks to definitely tap into if you haven't listened to it a while. Make sure you lock in when you get to what you know about that. What you know about that. This is the centerpiece. Massive synth lines. Of course, King is Back is a great opener. Check, let that one play. That all these years, at least on this app here is 3.5 million plays on there. But definitely, what you know about that is dope. Ti is absolute peak on that track there. Front back, UGK is on this joint. Pure Southern Pride, pure Southern Pride on this one. The beat knocks, you know what I mean. Front, back, side to side. Never let the rest, right? The history behind it makes it hit that much harder. Live in the Sky had Jamie Foxx is on this one. This one is a pretty well worn track, but it's a more emotional center, more emotional core. It takes a break here a little bit, less flexing, more reflective. This shows a little bit different side of himself, but we learned that he is a reflective person. And you listen to his interviews, you watch his show, and he's a person that he's a thinker. You know what I mean? He's not. He makes mistakes. He's human for sure, but he's not just like a shut up and dribble type of character. No, this is somebody who's got something to say, and he doesn't just do it through his rap. He does it through his philanthropy. He does it through his show. You can see it in the way he puts up for Atlanta. There's a dope interview where he's in it's the one with I gotta look. I'll put it in the video here, but he's in the car. The one dude that does a podcast. I guess you could say podcast. It's a ride along cast where he's like, he has the artists and they sit and they do their tracks and he's like drives them around in the city and the camera is like facing. It's a dope concept. It looks fun as hell to produce. It looks fun as hell to be a part of. So shout out to them on that joint. Top back. You know what I mean? Eternal victory lap energy. This is like quintessential mid 2000s Atlanta snap drums. Tip talking slick. I like my hit. Yeah, look, top, you know what I mean? It was my top laid back. See me riding 24. So this is like, the sunshine is just bouncing off the chrome. You can just feel it, just like this is full of energy, and it still slaps as if it came out yesterday. Top back. Matter of fact, do what I did. Play that track first, and then play the album after that, just to get you ready to go. You know what I mean? So revisiting these tracks feels like opening up a time capsule into the beginning of the golden run that Atlanta went on. The vibe of King is Southern ambition at full volume. Somebody stepping into the biggest version of themselves and not apologizing for it. What's wild is how grounded it still feels, polished, but never losing that Atlanta edge. You can hear the hunger. This is the album you play when you need a reminder about who you are, who you really are, stepping into your true self, right? Fuck with the different masks that we wear. Fuck the code switching. This is one of the ones that like maybe you're stepping into a new job, or maybe you got a big presentation on Monday or something like that. And you put this on and you feel like you walk in the room freaking 6 feet tall, and Tip is only 5'8". You know what I mean? So, but he's a giant. But the man is a freaking giant. And there's a lot of people standing on the shoulder of this giant now. Coming into the music game. Revisiting this thing is it's more than just looking back This thing is commemorating like almost an academic point in history, like academic, like there's history that could be written about, when Atlanta took over hip hop. And when you study, if you study music and music theory, and what I mean, and hip hop, you get to the chapter about hip hop. This is very important to commemorate that he is still relevant, he is still grounded, he is and this is a classic album. We knew it at the time, and currently you gotta at least look back now and be like, yeah, that was a classic album. When you list the classic albums that he's put out, it's about seeing where the whole Ti story took off. Kill the King might come around and be the, hopefully it doesn't take forever to come out, hopefully we get it in this year, but it'll be perfect round number to end in 30 years. But Kill the King might be the ending, but King was when we first saw him snatch the crown, and try it on for size. All right, let's talk Slayyyter. Her new album, Worst Girl in America, dropped, and this one actually feels like a shift, not a fake new era, a real pivot coming from a real place. She hit a wall creatively and personally, so she went back home to St. Louis and tapped into the music she grew up on. Late 2000s hip hop, pop, blog era, electro, messy dance rock, all that loud neon internet energy that used to dominate MySpace and club playlists. And you can hear the mindset all over this record. The mission was simple. This was her last album on her label. You know what I mean? What would it sound like? Answer: bigger hooks, louder production, not playing around, not playing it safe. The early singles, Crank, which is has a dope music video to check out. Beat Up Chanel's Cannibalism. They made it clear right away. This is wild, over the top pop punk energy, but sharper this time. There's weight behind it. Production wise, this album feels like something, just popped out of 2008, 2011 Tumblr, dirty club music and garage rock. Into somebody threw it all into like maybe a paint can shaker, those shaker things you go to like the Home Depot or something like that, and somehow she made it work. Live instrumentation shows up on Cannibalism. It gives it this grimy, sexy edge, very cramps coated. A few tracks throw on immediately. Dance is going to be your opener on this thing. This is it's crunchy, it's distorted, it's electro, justice inspired type of vibe. It tells you exactly what this album is within seconds. It's gonna be loud, it's gonna be messy, but it's gonna be fun and a little dangerous. Beat Up Chanel's is a house party gone off the rails type of energy, basement rave, sweat on the walls, total chaos. Old Technology and another dope one. Feels like cracked iPod screens, old MySpace profiles, bad digital camera photos buried in your phone. Thank goodness a lot of the stuff that we did back in those days, we didn't have social media. We just have rumors about them, no video evidence, and all that stuff is just buried in that old ass iPhone, iPad. You know what I mean? Some of these Polaroid pictures that we had and stuff, right? Brittany Murphy is the closer on this thing. Big drama on here. Eerie atmosphere. One of her strongest vocal moments on the project. She goes here, remember me beautiful. That sentiment probably ain't true at all. Tell them I was such a funny girl. Annoying probably a better word. You should tell them I was everything. Made the winters feel like spring. You should say I was incredible. That one wouldn't be a lie at all. This is a closing track, so this is kind of feels like an obituary, right? Blonde curls, big eyes like Brittany Murphy. Superstar girl, ballerina twirling. Make them all know I was great till I crashed out. Beautiful lines, funny stuff at the end. It's fun to vibe out and to dance with. So you check that one out. To play it all the way through. That's the last track. Yeah, I played all the way through the whole album. The main vibe here is chaotic glamour. It's bratty, it's nostalgic, it's messy, and weirdly emotional under all the noise. It's still a Midwestern party girl character that she's always played with, but now there's more perspective. She sounds in control of the chaos. Even when the songs are trying to blow the speakers out, this feels like the soundtrack to getting ready for something. Windows open, you know it's Friday night, you know it's Saturday night, you're going out, you don't know where you're going, your phone is buzzing, your girls are calling, and it's like, where are we going? What are we doing? You don't know yet, but you're getting ready. You probably done changed your outfit 10 times already. Bottom line, Worst Girl in America works because it fully commits to the dramatic. It's loud, it's self-aware, it's ridiculous, and it's fun as hell.